Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to Let's Get Ethereal. It's episode 2. We have so much astrology to cover, so I just want to kind of hop right in. And first, we'll look at astrology as like the lens of like how does it impact the individual? My favorite way to look at astrology. How can we move through day to day, what to expect, how to trust and flow versus like hang back. And then because the astrology is kind of major this week and into next week, we'll look at the what I call the collective astrology. That's like bigger things going on in the world. So I'll definitely dabble into that as well and talk about the Epstein files, what's going on. I'm looking at Trump's chart this time, and then we'll do a quick little lesson and move on with it. It's Super Bowl. I'm recording Sunday before, so I got plans. I got to get to them. All right. So what's going on this week? Let me share the chart. Okay, I'm gonna do an over the shoulder share. We'll see how this turns out. Okay, so here's the chart of today as I'm speaking to you. What do we got going on? We've got the moon in Scorpio. This is Sunday, so let's just skip to Monday because that's when you guys are watching this. Okay, so Monday, we've got a little left of moon in Scorpio. So the first, like the morning and early afternoon and Sunday and Saturday, we've had a little deep scorpionic vibe. When the moon is in water signs, it can bring up emotions. It can make us feel whether it's like insecure or fear comes up with Scorpio on the tough side. In the best way, it's highly intuitive. There's a lot of aha moments. Depending on where Scorpio is in your birth chart, it might be in a very active area of your chart. So you might have been more social or productive. Or if it's in a deeper intuitive part of your chart, this is really good for like, creativity, aha moments, but it can bring up the feels. But as we move into like the second half of Monday into Tuesday, we have the moon in Sagittarius, okay? And let's just see, 6 hours, 12 hours, it'll be Tuesday. Yeah, moon into Sag. Sagittarius is that sign of like bigger picture, expansive optimism. So regardless of where the Sagittarius is in your birth chart, I'm like, we're gonna feel a little bit more excited and optimistic as we move into Tuesday. Okay. What also is happening on Tuesday, which is so exciting, is Venus, the planet of love, money, worthiness, value, all the feel good Venetian things, beauty, art, aesthetic, moves into Pisces, where it's exalted. Looks like a couple hours into Tuesday. There we go, 0 degrees Pisces. So every planet in astrology has like the sign that it rules. That's where it feels at home. So it operates well there. Then there's signs where it's like in fall, doesn't like it. And there's signs where it's called exalted. Best placement, loves it there. When planets move into their exaltation, we get kind of the best version of those planets. Everyone, okay? Venus is exalted in Pisces because Venus, the planet of love and beauty and art, aesthetics, Pisces is dreamy, it's selfless, it is energetic, it's an understanding. And so when Venus, the planet of love, it definitely feels more like love vibes than money. If you think of Pisces with money, it's just like money is energy, and do we even need it? But when it talks about love, I think because this is the week before eclipses, you guys, we're in eclipse season already. Reminder, this is big energy. As of last Monday, we entered eclipse season. Okay, hence why I started this. Now we've got Venus into exaltation during eclipse season. It will move closer to the North Node. So the North Node is destiny. On the day of the solar eclipse, which isn't until next week, we'll talk about it obviously more. It's on the 17th. Venus and North Node are together, exalted in Pisces. So North Node is destiny. I think this week into the next week, Venus will be here for like 3 weeks. This is a really great time to meet some significant relationships in your life. It doesn't have to be just love, but for my single people out there, this is really swoontastic. I love this journey for us. It's also really great for creativity and just feeling in alignment with the things that you find joy and pleasure around Venus. It's like nudging you to like pay attention to that. Go take the music lesson, the art, get back into it, try something new, create, or flirt, go love, go swoon, fall in love. Okay, so that's my favorite thing this week, Venus into Pisces. It's been in Aquarius, where Aquarius is a little bit more like, let's spread the love around. It's more friendly vibes, it's more social. It moves into Pisces. We're all feeling that kind of yearning for connection. And Venus in Pisces is really selfless and sweet and caring. Okay, then, the without clicking every day, the moon will be in Sagittarius until, is it Thursday? It'll move into Capricorn. So when the moon is in earth signs, so Thursday, Friday into Saturday, it will be, yeah, Saturday night it moves into Aquarius. So when the moon is in Capricorn, productive goals might be on the mind. If you aren't feeling aligned with what you're working towards or what you want to put like conviction behind, your mood can be annoyed if work isn't going well or the goals you're aiming for aren't happening quick enough. Just know it can get a dose of reality. The moon in Capricorn, it's like, it's this feely energy, emotions, and this very like get it done, like practical Capricorn. So if you want to use that energy, focus on your goals, write out a list, accomplish some things, get grounded, get into your physical body when the moon is in Earth. And then Saturday night and Sunday, the moon will be in Aquarius. That's going to be really cerebral. We might get a little anxious. Mind is spinning at its worst, but at its best, it's very good for social. Like go be social Saturday night into Sunday. Okay. All right. What else is going on? The major event. Let's see. Well, let's talk about this first. This is cute before we get into the big guns. Okay, Mercury is going to meet up with the North Node, 9 degrees, 9 degrees, in Pisces. I think, Mercury is the messenger, communication, logic, plans. It doesn't like to be in Pisces. Talk about like where planets thrive. Mercury hates Pisces because Mercury is like steps, details, follow through, plans, organizing, having clarity. Neptune rules Pisces. That's where my brain went. Pisces is like floaty, ethereal. Let's just float through, screw the plans. So Mercury is kind of flooded in Pisces. So it is definitely a time where we're relying more on intuition, less on logic and plans being exactly like we feel they should be. Okay, so give it a little bit more grace. If you are having a little bit more of emotional thoughts, thinking of the past, reflecting, it's subconscious territory when it's Pisces. But when it comes together with the North Node, Destiny, which Venus will be meeting next week, I just think it's like destined conversations, or it doesn't have to be that big of a deal, but it's just like beautiful aha moments. Okay, this is Thursday when it's exact, but we're already feeling it. And I think it's like either epiphanies, somebody could say something that has nothing to do with something, but it just clicks and you move forward and through it. This is really nudging us to think differently, find the new approach, have the conversation, say the thing, but pay attention to like messages that come through, emails, offers. Very interesting. Okay. Now, the big deal thing going on this week is happening on Friday. Saturn is moving into Aries, which is a big deal. Okay. There it goes. 000 on the dot. So this happens, in the evening, early evening, late afternoon, depending on where you're living. But anyways, when big deal transitions happen, you're not just going to be like ping on the day. But when a planet that moves slower changes signs, it's a big deal, okay? Wherever Pisces is in your birth chart, it has spent 2.5 years there, Saturn. And wherever Saturn goes, it makes us work our ass off there. It's like lesson after lesson. Did you get it? Did you get it? Here's a pattern here. Push through. You earned it. It takes like real rolling up the sleeves effort. There's no fast pass there. So I really want you to applaud the area of your chart that Pisces is in. We still have the North Node there until end of July. Okay. So these two combined, I'm like, dang, we had lunar eclipses in Pisces only, no solar eclipses when the North Node's been there, which is full moon eclipses. Um, the North Node is very karmic in the sense of like, you got to get out of your comfort zone here. You have to take chances, take risks, take leaps. And yes, that can bring exciting things for sure, but paired with Saturn, it's just kind of like these two karmic things have been happening at the same time. Saturn's karmic in the like, learn the lesson, mature here, put in the effort. North Node's like, learn like the expansion through risk and like scary in a good way. Now we just get the scary in a good way opportunities, leaps of faith without this like planet of like serious and sometimes burden and hardship. Okay. At its best, Saturn has got you so fucking solid wherever Pisces is. So you can look at that area of your chart. For me, it was in the 4th house. I moved like 3 times. I had family caretaking stuff. My emotional foundation did some like interesting, like deep therapeutic work. The Hoffman process all happened with Saturn in my 4th. So you have to work your butt off there and you get, stretched to your limits. But now it's just risk-taking time. Okay. So I couldn't not look back at Pisces, look at your birth chart, applaud that area of your life. For me, it was like home, family, foundations, inner emotional stuff because it was my 4th house. What house does Pisces rule for you? It could be in 2 houses, okay? That's the real stuff. So get excited. As it moves into Aries, this could be in the same area of your birth chart. I think for the individual, Saturn changing houses is much more impactful, just a heads up. But Saturn moving into Aries, it's like Saturn in Pisces the past 2.5 years, what it created was this effort and responsibility around our subconscious, around like addictive tendencies. That's why I think there was so much non-alc like things going on. Pisces is also, I think of the drug and alcohol industry, but like the opposite sign is Virgo, which is like health and that very literal, practical, medical. And Pisces is like that emotional, spiritual, like our patterns, our tendencies. What do we do when we aren't offering ourselves that emotional side of health? And so it got everybody more buttoned up there. It's like, this is important. Pisces is important side of the coin, okay? And there was a lot of new drugs coming out. We can see that with the North and South Node in Virgo and Pisces too. I think of all the GLP-1s. I think of all the fucking peptides going on. It's like the craze right now. So that's that Pisces Virgo vibe going on. Now it moves into Aries. And so it's saying like we've done the work on that inner world. We wrapped up that story. Now it's into Aries. Self. This is responsibility, putting the effort into what are your individual goals, leadership. This definitely speaks to, if you have something that you want to put out in there to the world, it's going to take your effort. You got to be responsible for your life. It's like this, like it's time to man up. With Neptune into Aries at the same time, okay, I'm going to just like read literally from my workbook that I wrote last year. Neptune moving into Aries. Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces. So it really loved 14 years in Pisces, just like floating around. So it's like with this, we see extremes maybe at first is what I wrote, conviction without clarity. Aries wants immediate action and Neptune blurs the line between vision and illusion. So this can look like movements fueled by passion, but missing some truth, influencers claiming spiritual authority, or people chasing purpose without grounding themselves. The fog will clear through experience, though. This era asks us to stop outsourcing our beliefs and start embodying them. Aries, embody it, okay? To live by intuition, not image. Neptune in Aries brings courage to act on conviction, but also lessons in discernment about what's real and what's reactionary. So I think this is kind of like, makes me think of like the Epstein files with like Deepak Chopra is what's coming to mind. It's like, just because with Neptune and Pisces that like people claim to be like, I've got the wisdom, pay attention and listen to me. Now it goes into areas of like, we each hold that wisdom. We don't need to outsource it. And I think it's going to expose a lot of people. Pisces is like celebrity influencer, spiritual influencer for sure. And into Aries, it's just like the leaders. Okay. So I think Neptune was really blurring those lines, and now it's going to become very clear. Aries is fast, it's initiative. So with Neptune moving into Aries, the focus is like self-defined spirituality is what I wrote, basically what I just said. Oops. The energy strips away shoulds and authority figures, reminding us that purpose can't be borrowed. It has to be lived. Expect a rise in independent creators, healers, and innovators who use their purpose and personal stories as fuel for change. But Neptune also exposes ego disguised as inspiration. So self-awareness is key. We got to trust our own guts, okay? No more just listening to like TikTok and Instagram influencers, okay, guys? Let my kidneys be attest to that of like what healthy supplements are good for everybody. I can tell you, glutathione and NAC wasn't good for me, turns out. This cycle will highlight the difference between leadership that empowers and leadership that performs. Okay, so that to me is like, we're gonna see like an end of this. Takes, Neptune will be here for 14 years. Not everything's gonna immediately fall away, but when a planet changes signs, we already get that exposure happening. Who is living by authenticity or who is kind of shifted into this kind of ego side of it, which can happen to anybody. Who is selling like promises that if you listen to me, I'm going to help you manifest your best world yet. And it's like, how about more as like, what can you know about yourself of how you specifically manifest, or what's in your chart, and like what are your passions, even if you aren't looking at it in chart ways. Like, listen to yourself, trust your own instincts. This is not a time to like put that onto somebody else. Now Saturn joining the party, really going to expose. We already are seeing this, right? Because they're teaming up together. I think, everything's already starting to come that way because Neptune's been in here. When Saturn comes in, Saturn's authority. This is old school. This is the old way of operating. I think of like government and bosses and institutions that have been around forever. Moves into Aries, it's like the new beginning. This is the first degree of the whole zodiac, okay? So Aries is the first zodiac sign. Saturn entering the 0 degree point. Neptune just happens to fucking be there too, okay? So I think with Saturn into Aries from Pisces, it was like in Pisces, I'm reading from my workbook again. Saturn in Pisces asks for truth, surrender control, sit with uncertainty, move through the fog without clear answers. That's why we like have been in this 2.5 years of like, okay, emotional, holistic wellness, taking a look at drinking less or our patterns, etc. Very good. But it taught patience. It wasn't exactly easy to build momentum. Saturn doesn't like Pisces, okay? Saturn wants to solve problems, like work on it and create fixes and like accomplish, right? In Pisces, what do we know? It's like la la land, it's floaty, it's energetics, right? So Saturn and Pisces hopefully taught you like when you're out of alignment energetically, that's what can impact your health too. So it's not just like, what am I eating? How am I working out? It's like, who am I around? Am I in this job that is so not my authentic self, but I've been told by society, parents, or myself, I'm good at this, I got to stick with it. Saturn in Pisces really got everybody just kind of like, okay, pretty clear at what doesn't feel Pisces fluid. When it moves into Aries, this is like energy sharpening. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of energy, passion, motivation. It's fast, right? So this transit's about action, courage, independence. So Saturn will test our confidence, our ability to follow through. It will push you to stand up, trust yourself. This also makes me think of like industries that are about the physical body, or industries that are very Aries. I think of fire, weapons, stuff like that is going to be big, random. Um, can you start something new without needing approval is what I wrote here. Because think of Saturn's a long game, 2.5 years. If you have something that you want to work on, put out there, start a business, this is the call to action, you guys, for entrepreneurship. I think by the end of Saturn and Aries, 2.5, 3 years from now, there's going to be a whole new like way of entrepreneurship, of working, and old businesses are even going to revamp. New leaders will emerge. Okay. So just think of like, the US isn't the only place in the world, but there could be new leadership coming in. Okay. Um, it's because the illusion is fading. We're getting real. And it's like, what are we going to do about it? So this is when the work gets real. You'll be asked to take accountability, pace yourself, build something step by step, no shortcuts. But when you do it right, Saturn rewards you with a foundation you can stand upon for years. So where is Aries in your chart? That just started a 2.5, 3 year cycle of getting this area really freaking solid. But it's gonna, like, you're gonna put work in here, okay? Like this just is entering my 5th house of creativity, passion projects, romance, children, that kind of thing. So in the next 2.5 years, I get to work my ass off on creative stuff, okay? Thank God. But where is it going for you? So that's that Saturn into Aries. When these team up, I remember they came in together last year for a short bit. I think it was end of May through early September, if you want to look back at it. I have been taglining this the fuckboy exorcism transit. Why? Because like Aries, I think of the fire signs as the fuckboys when they're low vibe. Okay. I look at astrology, easy way to say it, high vibe, low vibe. Every sign, every planet, every aspect, every house has like its highest potentials, best qualities, which usually comes from maturity, lived experience, effort, reflection. But the low vibe of signs and planets is like the shadowy bits. We all have all possibilities, right? Aries low vibe is like this selfish, fast acting. It's one of those fuckboy energies. With Saturn here, it's like, no, this isn't going to cut it anymore. You got to take responsibility. You got to like not just be, impulsive, selfish. Saturn's going to make through hard work and effort, like the high vibe of Aries, please stand up. Okay. With Neptune involved, I'm just like, yes, this is exposure. I know, people that date men, guy or gal, are just kind of like, no, if you haven't worked on yourself, if you aren't pushing through your own insecurities and doubts and like staying in the moment, having the conversations instead of falling into this like, my nervous system's so activated, but they don't know it and they're just going to push people away or hop around and have casual and all the online dating, I think is going to take a back seat to just like real in-person, take accountability. Fuckboy exorcism. Okay. Now, speaking of fuckboy exorcism, Epstein files. Yeah, this coming together on the 13th we're already seeing it and feeling it. And I don't know about y'all, but my social media is like filled with it. Maybe because I click on it and I'm like, I'm, Scorpio rising, moon in the eighth. I want to know all the tea. Um, and it's horrific. It's horrific. Okay. So, what did we read in my book about Neptune through Pisces into Aries? It's like, we're not just going to blind faith it anymore. It's accountability time. Okay. New leaders or leaders being revealed. So, let's pivot from self into the collective. Anything else from self, though? I like that Mars has moved away from Pluto. We're almost into Pisces season. And that eclipse next week is at 28 degrees of Aquarius, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, so get ready. You're already in it. You're already feeling it. Eclipses, I always like to remind everybody, it's like hands up. We can't control anything during it. Ideally, it's just like, it's not that everything just happens to you, but it's a more karmic time of like things are going to shift and align or exit as they should. Okay. They can be quiet, internal shifts, boundaries, epiphanies, healing, conversations. It can be deep, or it can be external. Job changes, moves, new relationships, announcements, launches, all like you'll notice so many people in your life are going through big things at the same time. Okay. Another thing, I touched on this last week, Uranus going direct is a big story, and it's at the tail end of Taurus, which is money and finances. Uranus is future, innovative, tech. I think, this is not my brilliance. But this is just screaming like there's something going on with like Bitcoin or like of the like. I'm sure there's a lot of them. I don't know if it's good or bad, but Uranus is like sudden change. And then as it moves into Gemini, it's like, which is in June, I believe. Let me see. I have my paper. Yeah. Wait, where is it? No, end of end of April, Uranus moves into Gemini. So from now until end of April, watch money, the financial industries, Bitcoin, all of that can have a shakeup or a change. Uranus is like sudden change, sudden events, something's going on. So not financial advice, but just have to mention that. Like if you can put off making investments or like watching the market or something. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's look at this this vibe, Saturn into Aries with Neptune. I wanted to look at Trump's chart. Okay. I have him saved in here. Because what's the big thing during Epstein files is like, we know that Trump's been mentioned thousands of times in these email, but nothing's really exposed yet. Will it be? Will it be protected? Let's see. Okay. Sorry, bear with me. I gotta do these in real time. This website is so jank. I like hate it, but it's the only one that you can like move around in real time, which is what we need for this. Okay. This is President Trump's birth chart. This isn't political. This is just more like what's going on in the world right now. It happens to be the big story, so I wanted to look at it. Okay. And knowing that Saturn and Neptune getting together on Friday is just this like new leadership vibe. I'm like, oh, he's a leader. Let's see. And with everything else going on with horrible stuff in the news with ICE, and It's so tragic, and I don't want to astrology that away. Okay, that's just completely sad. But let's see what he's doing, and like some timings and maybe some accountability is coming. Okay. Uranus, the planet of sudden change, right? Just went direct last week at the top of Trump's chart, very close to his MC. So there's a big change as of last week, change in direction is the most visible part of his chart. So this explains like, okay, we've got some stuff going on here. It's the disruption planet. What's interesting is it's, see this red line, is square to his ascendant and Mars. Uranus square Mars, conjunct Mars, opposite Mars, intense. Squares, oppositions are tense aspects. It brings out the tough side of the planets. Mars is anger, passion, aggression. Uranus is sudden. So there's a lot of heat happening for him, as we already know. So this is like classic for disruption of like public image, shocks, unexpected developments, reputational volatility is the vibe, sudden confrontations. You know, if this person was just like an individual and not a leader, I'd be like, dang, what you going through? Hide out, don't leave your house. It's kind of the vibe. It's explosive situations going on. But it can, you know, obviously manifest as like political conflict, legal battles, public backlash for sure. Erratic decisions though, like this could be, you know, he's the one making some erratic moves. But I'm feeling a lot of it's just coming his way. With Uranus, you kind of never know. Okay. But what's interesting is we have that solar eclipse coming up. I just want to see. It looks to be on his descendant. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna find a way to like speed through my pauses while I'm doing this. We don't have time to edit videos yet, guys. Okay. Woo! Look at that opposition to Mars. Again, what did I say about Mars? Mars has 2 lines to it. Okay, new moon solar eclipse in the 7th house. 7th house is other people. When it comes to like big deal people and collective energy, this is opponents, other people. Yeah. With the opposition to Mars, it's like major turning points involving opponents is kind of the vibe, I would say. Definite legal matter stuff, open conflict, public confrontation again. When Mars is involved like this, opposite, because this is a new moon eclipse, it's new beginnings, it's typically beautiful. And if you have this, like, this is a different lens, okay? He's involved with a lot of deep stuff. So this is like face your opponent time. It can be political, it can be legal, it can be reputational, it could be physical. Okay. I intuitively feel like, yes, there's a threat of exposure. There is erratic energy coming from him, but I kind of feel like he's not going to be fully exposed yet. So we'll see. We do have that Neptune Saturn conjunction happening in his 8th house. There's no aspects though. And Pluto is being kind. Okay. It's just Uranus is not. So Saturn and Neptune coming together in the 8th, it kind of correlates with the themes of investigations. 8th house is everything hidden below the surface. Okay. It's uncovering, it's detective work, it's life, death, rebirth, sex. It's all of the things that is being like, all the secret hidden stuff wants to come out. It's also shared resources, investments, money. I mean, literally, Epstein coded the money to cover up the bad things that you're doing. So there's a lot of like previously unclear situations. This feels very karmic and heavy and consequential, in my opinion. Does it prove guilt? No. But I mean, a birth chart can't prove those things. It's really bad karma, in my opinion, to say like whether somebody's guilty or not guilty, they're gonna be dying, or it's not my style. But this feels like pretty consequential. Okay. Um, but with Venus with North Node looking good, I feel like he's gonna be rescued in some way. I don't know. Let's look at the next eclipse. Let's get it pretty precise. Okay, good. So this next eclipse is in his first house. Interesting. During Mercury retrograde in the 8th into 7th. So I think, yeah, Mercury retrograde starting in his 8th house is like things revisiting past matters, past things, investigations, legal stuff, testimonies, documents. That's coded. I think Mercury retrograde in Pisces, you guys, is going to be major for this. Because Mercury retrograde, we're returning to things from the past. In Pisces, it's like the illusions are breaking. Okay. It's interesting. It's old material like coming back around, old conversations being exposed, not necessarily new wrongdoing stuff. Okay. Um, the full moon eclipse in the first house is like, you know, a flashlight on self, and a changing of, I always say a full moon eclipse in the first for like an individual can be like new branding, new titles, new identity. An old way of operating has to be cleared out. So I think whatever is being exposed is just kind of like we're looking at them in a different way. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay. But this is interesting. North Node, that means the South Node. I want to look at July. Bear with me, guys. I know we're going deep. July 31st. Okay. The North Node will be crossing his descendant, which means opposite, even though the symbol isn't here, the South Node is on the ascendant. South Node kind of sweeps over things, clears out. South Node crossing the ascendant and the natal Mars. It's just kind of like a karmic shedding, an identity reset signature. South Node tends to like correlate with release, depletion, past actions catching up to you is the vibe I'm feeling. Something could be draining that person's like life. It's just kind of like, I don't know, feeling like, who am I now? So this is depletion for sure. Whoa. Something just caught my eye. Oh boy. We've got July 3rd. It's like 4th of July, actually. Interesting. 4th of July. Mercury's retrograde again. Okay. Mars and Uranus. I talked about this earlier because current moment, there's Uranus square to Mars happening in Trump's chart. 4th of July, Mars is conjunct Uranus again at the top of his chart. I want to see, when was it? The assassination attempt before. 2024, July. I want, like, the reason why I'm thinking that, I think this was happening during that time as well. So let's look 2 years ago. Yep. Yeah. When was the exact date? July 13th. Yeah, they were together. Right on his MC that time. Because I remember posting in my stories, I'm like, if I were you, I would not be out in public today. I'm going backwards instead of forwards. Okay, so not only this July of 2026 do we have Mercury retrograde, a return moment, we have this same explosive, intense moment happening at the top of the chart, just like it was that day. Okay. I would say sudden public shocks, disruption to the status, career, authority, because it's at the top of the chart, or reputation. This could be unexpected announcements. It doesn't have to be an exact thing. It could be like a destabilizing turn of events, or like I said, this could be him making a rash decision or a big deal thing. Loss of control, perhaps. This is wild. The fact that it's happening the same thing 2 years later. Okay, we're gonna stay tuned. Okay. And this isn't me hoping these bad things happen to somebody. That is disgusting and not what I'm saying. I just like to look at patterns. And why I think I'm mentioning that, and that just caught my eye. Sorry, I went on a tangent on this chart, but that's insane. I think with what's going on now with the Epstein files, if for some reason things don't expose him and his, because we already know he's in thousands of the emails, so there's involvement, right? If it's protected and not exposed, he clearly in his chart is having all of this conflict and exposure, pressure. We don't know if it will actually come out. Maybe it will these next couple weeks with the astrology being so intense. If not, July timeline feels very interesting for him. Very intense. Whether he's the one creating the intensity or he's the receiver of the intensity. But this all goes back to Saturn into Aries. This is our leaderships are changing. Okay, changing of the hands, changing of the guards. Okay. Astrology be astrologing this week. Hold on to your tits is how I like to call it. But I promise as the individual, I feel like this is really empowering. This is a time reminder of last week's episode. February is a fast acting month. We have, the eclipses starting. We have the Chinese New Year switching on the 17th. It's a collective 1 year numerology, which really lines up with this Aries activation. Shortly after, two of the major slower planets move into fire, Aries. Then we have another major one moving into air, and we already have Pluto into air. So air and fire, air and fire. It's fast, 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 fast. Jupiter will enter fire later in the year as well. And the nodes will move into air and fire. So with all this air and fire, it's like, please take initiative. If you have an idea, air, please put it out there. Take the first step. Be bold. Do it scared. Do it anyway. Fire energy. If you're passionate about it, fire, and you're curious about it, air, and you want to share your voice in whatever way that you want, please do it. This Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries is lighting that fire of like your dreams. Neptune can become a reality, Saturn. So, what's going on in the collective, yeah, it's fucking intense. But what can we do as an individual is like really take ownership. That's what we're all going to be called to. It's like we don't sit and complain anymore. We do something about it. So this is me being your hype girl, your champion. Please do something. If you're like, Lauren, I don't know what I want, I don't have clarity, good news. This stuff that's pivoting will help that. Eclipses are happening. It's the one energy. It's all of this fire and air activation. So if you don't have that clarity yet, it will be coming this year. You have to also look at, like, is there any fears or insecurities or doubts clouding that? Or are there like subconscious patternings or projections of society or pressures that you're just so ingrained with that you need to unidentify and start peeling away those non-self themes to get back to your true essence? And I think what helps that is looking at the birth chart, to be honest. Where's your north node? Where's your moon? Deep dive that. The lesson corner this week is a quick one. I kind of mentioned it as an idea, and I was like, why don't I just do it? And that's if you're a specific or non-specific manifester in human design. Manifestation, we hear that all the time, right? It's not some secret thing that like only other people can walk you through. It's like you got it in yourself. Manifestation is like, yeah, it has a lot to do with psychology, in my opinion. Like if you write a list of things you want to manifest, but if you were like being honest with yourself, if you don't feel like you deserve that, or it's too wildly like insane, you're not going to attract that. Like it has to be in alignment with what you feel like deeply, which takes a lot of depatterning, right? Like, what do I deserve? And so maybe you're somebody that needs to work on deservedness, self-worth, and value, and that will help you manifest. But everybody has the ability. And what I think is cool is in human design, it will show you if you're a specific manifestor or non-specific. You're just one of two. So I feel like that's easy. And I'll show a little visual. Let me pull it up. Of a human design chart. This is from a old AF workshop I did so many years ago. I couldn't find my notes on it, but it's so funny. Okay, so any human design website that you want to pull from, I think this one's renamed. So let me see. This is the old school one that I use. It's called mybodygraph.com. mybodygraph.com. And you'll want to do this is like, they don't even look like this anymore, but you want to do the view that's not the mandala so that you can see the arrows. One thing I must say, human design, you can pull your chart and it doesn't have to be as specific as astrology for time, but for the arrows, it does. The arrows change within a few minutes. So if you're looking at this and you're somebody that's like, I think I was born between 3 and 3:30, you could plug in and you'll notice that these switch directions. Okay, so this is for my specific time of birthers. All right, you're gonna pull up your human design chart. Most, like all of these are free on this site, but you can find many different versions. The ones that have the arrows listed. Okay, this is the arrow we're looking at. If it's pointing to the right, you are a non-specific manifestor. If it's pointing to the left, you are a specific manifestor. Not to be confused with being a manifestor in human design. There's 5 types, okay? Manifestor, projector, generator, manifesting generator, and reflector. So we're not talking about types, okay? The type that's a manifestor is like 8 or 9% of the population. That's how they move through life and act, and that's a whole different thing. It just happens to be called manifestor, but we all can manifest, right? Okay. So if you're a specific manifestor, this just means you want to get pretty detailed and granular when you write things out. You want clarity first. If you're like, I don't know what I want to manifest, and you just write random things, be careful what you wish for is the vibe. Okay. If you're trying to manifest a new apartment, I want you to get really freaking detailed. Like, it's got to be 1,200 square feet. It's got to be within 2 blocks of a Whole Foods. It's got to be, nearby my friend. It's got to have like this many windows and laundry in unit, like all the things, the non-negotiables. Okay. And as a specific, it's really important for things like, I think of like vision boarding, visualizing, writing everything down, not settling for 80%. If you're a specific manifester and you have a clear list of things, the universe may test you and be like, here's 75%. And you're like, dang, maybe that's what I'm worth. And that's pretty cool. It's like you're supposed to push away the wrong things and then the right things get more magnetized towards you. Okay. So get detailed. If you're manifesting a partner, you're the types that can be like, I want them to have blue eyes and brown hair and an accent and like a home here and, you know, get detailed. Okay. But the key is push away what isn't quite that if you're clear. Okay. You start small. So to prove, like, to warm up that muscle is like, I want to see an orange butterfly today as my sign. I want to receive flowers this week. I don't know how or why, but they're coming my way, and see what happens. You know, start small, but be very specific. Okay. For non-specifics, I'm a non-specific. This is more of like, we can be a little more vague with our manifestations. Like on every new and full moon, I'm usually writing like words like releasing self-doubt, releasing security, like worries, instead of like specifics, like I'm releasing this exact patterning with this person. Like it's more overarching themes. The non-specifics are kind of like the universe catches you. So think of it as, I want to manifest this or something better. Surprise me is kind of the vibe we want to take. If you're manifesting an apartment, certainly have your non-negotiables. Like, I couldn't live at a place that doesn't allow pets. I would like a 2-bedroom. I would like to be walkable to a cool street. Okay. That's how I manifest. The place I have now in Santa Monica, I was just like, I would love 2-bedroom. And, you know, just assumed 1 bath. But then I found this place, it's 1.5 bath, parking included, way cheaper than the 1 bed, 1 bath places I was looking at before. So like, let life surprise you, but still have your non-negotiables. Obviously, it doesn't mean you can't get what you want. It's just that you can be more vague. When it comes to love and relationships, I always say with a non-specific, focus on the feelings you want to feel. Like, I want to feel more creative. I want to feel safe and secure. I want my nervous system to be calm. I want to like be exposed to new things and learn things, and little less specific on like their looks or what they do for a living. It's like more about the overarching vibes and feelings. And I really want a person that, you know, can move here with me, or, you know, you guys get it. It's like, you don't have to be so granular. I think that's why when people ask like, what's your type? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really have a type. It's a vibe. When I meet somebody, I'm like, ooh, I'm attracted to that. That's why online dating is a little hard for me. And my physical traits, the only thing I always say, sorry if this is harsh, but it's like, I'm really attracted to like a full head of hair. I'm just like, I don't care what color it is, what ethnicity you are, what your body type, height, like a lot less important. But is the energy good? Do I feel good around them? Do they make me feel seen and heard? And are they a gentleman? Are they like clear at who they are? Have they done the work? So those are my manifestation lists for my future partner. Okay. But I always write in there, or better. And I think of past relationships I've had. I'll be like, I'll make up a name, Brad. I'll be like, really supports my business like Brad or more. Cooks like Kevin as much as Kevin or more. Is tidy like James or more. Like, so keep it vague and open. Okay. Where's my specifics? Don't be timid. Get detailed. If you don't know what you want, start there. If we don't believe we deserve these things on a subconscious level, we start there. So there's your lesson corner. This might have gone a little longer. We had a lot of astrology to cover, you guys. So that's why, you know, I had to launch this. There's so much coming up the next few weeks. Once we get into Mercury retrograde, I'll come in with more of like gentle healing, like to-dos and approaches and emotional support. But this is very action-oriented energy, and a lot is shifting around us, not only collectively and globally, but in our individual lives, we're sensing a lot of change. So, my best thing for you to do, and we'll talk more about this next week, is finding exactly where the eclipses hit your birth chart. In my opinion, it doesn't necessarily change anything, but it helps you trust. It helps you go with it. If you have an eclipse in your fourth house and moving wasn't on your mind, but all of a sudden you get a text that like this perfect place came available, that you're just like, well, I didn't even think that could be an option. And then you see there's an eclipse in your fourth house, maybe that's my hope that you'll be like, oh, I trust that. Let's see. Let's have the conversation. Same with like if it's in your 10th and you weren't necessarily looking for work, maybe I'll check it out. Okay. So eclipses, knowing where they impact you, what's going on, knowing that this is a time for pivots and change, go for it. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next week. We'll deep dive the granular ins and outs of the eclipses and anything else that comes up. As far as my personal life, I have no like big things, except for not all supplements are for everybody. I'll just remind you guys. I was talking to my therapist about it too. She goes, please spread the word. She's like, it's a thing that's been going on. She's noticed with a lot of patients too. So, or clients, what do therapists call their people? So yeah, okay. Love you guys. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Spread the word, share all of the jazz. Okay, bye.